Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is a place where we cut through all the noise and get right to what you need to know. Today, we are strapping in for, well, a high-speed journey into the future of mobility. We're taking a look at the moment Waymo launched fully driverless robotaxis onto major U.S. highways. Okay, let's unpack this. This isn't just some minor regulatory update. It's a genuine paradigm shift. Our mission today is to really dissect the technical side of this, the logistical scale, and what this means for, everyone else in the race for autonomy.
Right. And you really need to understand the gravity of this. I mean, we're past the era of just testing in geofenced areas in perfect weather. This is a commercially available service. It's making money. It's running 247 on high-speed roads across the Bay Area, Phoenix, and LA. It really forces you to ask, is the future already here? And did we just sort of miss the announcement?
So let's nail down the specifics. The launch was November 12, 2025. And the core fact, the thing that really changes everything, is that these are fully driverless rides on freeways. With, and this is the key, no human backup driver, nothing.
No monitor, no safety driver. It's just you and the machine. And that decision to go completely driverless on a freeway with a paying customer inside, that immediately gets them the industry-first status in the U.S. This isn't just about showing the tech works. It's about accepting all the regulatory and, frankly, the liability that comes with it. Operating a machine at 65 or 75 miles per hour, it's a bold move.
And it's not some limited pilot program, right? It's not, just a few hours on a Tuesday. Those services available 24/7. That kind of uptime says a lot about how robust they think the system is.
It does. Which brings us to the next big question. Why are freeways so important? We've seen driverless cars on city streets for a few years now. Why is the freeway suddenly the holy grail? Well, put simply, city driving is super complex, but it's slow. Freeway driving is, simpler in some ways, no pedestrians, fewer intersections, but the consequences of a mistake are just exponentially higher because of the speed. So conquering the freeway is what unlocks real commercial scale. It gives you the fast, direct travel that people actually want from a ride-hailing service.
And the efficiency gains they're reporting are just, well, they're staggering. The sources mentioned a really common congested route like San Francisco down to Mountain View, right in the heart of Silicon Valley. And the travel time could potentially be cut in half.
Halved. Not 10% better, 50% better. And that time saving, that's the market leverage right there. When you add freeways, the service area in the Bay Area, for example, just explodes to over 260 square miles. All of a sudden, places like San Jose, its airport, they're all connected. It turns a local taxi service into a real regional transport network.
But operating on the freeway, that must demand some incredibly high-stakes decision-making. Waymo's co-CEO, Dmitry Dolgov, said something that really stuck with me. He said, freeway driving is easy to learn, hard to master.
That really captures it perfectly. The environment is structured, sure, cars mostly go in the same direction, but the margin for error just vanishes at high speed. The system needs this incredible precision, traveling right up to the speed limit, sometimes even a little over, which, you have to do sometimes to merge safely.
Tell me a bit more about those technical demands. In the city, the sensors are looking for, what? A kid chasing a ball, a delivery truck. What's different on the highway?
Well, at 65 miles per hour, your sensor range has to be just dramatically better. They rely so heavily on LiDAR and radar. LiDAR gives you that amazing spatial awareness, but radar is what's crucial for detecting speed and distance when the weather is bad
or when a truck kicks up a huge cloud of dust.
Exactly. And they have to predict these really complex things like merging onto a freeway where the speed difference is huge, or dealing with that uniquely human aggression of someone cutting across 3 lanes for an exit.
We've all seen it. You have to anticipate that driver, whether they signal or not. A robot doesn't have intuition. It has data.
It has data. And that confidence comes from over a decade of just intense data collection, millions and millions of miles on highways and city streets. But it's not just the real-world miles, it's the simulation. They can feed the system these very specific scenarios, like debris on the road or a sudden pileup ahead. That's how it learns to handle things it's never actually seen before. And what's fascinating here is the sheer multi-layered approach they took to safety for this launch. They knew they couldn't just rely on one thing, so they used 3 distinct testing environments: real-world driving, closed course testing, and then that advanced simulation we just talked about.
Let's talk about fail-safes. Because when you're going 70 and the computer has a hiccup, that's a catastrophic risk. How do they handle that? The sources mentioned dual onboard computers. What does that actually mean?
That dual redundancy is the absolute core of the safety system. Think of it like this. If the primary computer that's handling, say, perception, or planning has any kind of failure, software, hardware, whatever. The secondary, completely separate computer takes over instantly. There's no lag, no noticeable lapse in control. That level of technical backup is what lets them take the human safety monitor out of the car.
So it has to be completely seamless, which is a huge engineering challenge. But beyond the tech inside the car, how do they coordinate with, well, the human world? Law enforcement, for example.
Well, that's vital. You have to have public trust. So Waymo works directly with agencies like the California Highway Patrol and the Arizona Department of Public Safety. This covers very specific protocols. If a car is in an incident, law enforcement knows exactly how it will behave and how they can safely interact with it.
And the car itself has emergency protocols built in, right? Like if something goes wrong, it knows what to do.
Yes. If all else fails, the system is programmed to execute a controlled, safe stop on the freeway shoulder. It's engineered to find the nearest safe spot and shut down.
Okay, so they've mastered the tech and the safety. Let's pivot to their growth. The current markets are the SF Bay Area, Phoenix, and LA. But they're not stopping there, are they?
Not even close. The expansion list is really aggressive. They're already launching or getting ready to launch in Austin, Atlanta, Miami, San Diego, DC. Plus, they're looking at international cities. This isn't just a niche project anymore. They're going for continental scale.
And they're planning for tough climates, too. The sources point to cold weather testing in Denver and Detroit. That's where sensors can really struggle with snow and ice.
Absolutely. If you want to be a nationwide service, you have to solve for winter. That's non-negotiable. Logistically, they're also being smart about hubs. They now have curbside pickup at San Jose's airport, just like they do at Phoenix Sky Harbor. That's where they can get those high-value, long-distance rides where the freeway really makes a difference.
And the fleet size is serious. 1,000 cars in the Bay Area, 700 in LA, 500 in Phoenix. These are large working fleets.
With more coming online in Austin and Atlanta all the time.
All right, here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
How does Waymo actually stack up against its biggest competitor? I'm talking about Tesla. We've been hearing about self-driving from Elon Musk for what feels like forever. So why does Waymo get to claim this industry first?
This really gets to the core philosophical split in this whole field. Waymo is offering fully driverless freeway rides today. Their system is built on a decade of using redundant sensors, LiDAR, radar, cameras, plus these super detailed HD maps. For Waymo, the human monitor is obsolete.
But hang on, Tesla's approach is vision only. It's just cameras and AI. Isn't that, cheaper and easier to scale globally if you don't need all that expensive LiDAR and mapping?
That's the billion-dollar question. And it comes down to a choice about liability and safety. Tesla's system gives you highway rides, yes, but it still requires the human driver to be paying attention, ready to take over. The liability is on the person. Waymo operates fully driverless, so they take on all the responsibility. The expensive sensors, the endless training, that's what you need to do to safely remove the human from the equation.
So it's true automation versus very advanced driver assistance.
Yeah.
What about the other players like Zoox or WeRide?
They're very active, and they use similar sensor setups to Waymo, but they're still mostly using human safety drivers in the car during their testing. Waymo crossed the critical finish line. They proved the machine can handle high-speed complexity safely enough that the human component is gone. That's their edge.
So what's it actually like to ride in one? We've talked tech, but what's the psychological part of this? Getting into an empty car for a highway trip still feels pretty futuristic.
It does, but the feedback seems to be that the system is great at just feeling normal. An NBC News test ride reported that the freeway merges were flawless, almost timid. Passengers say it feels surprisingly normal, which is the best compliment you can give it. The machine is just transactional. It gets you there efficiently. There's no small talk, no aggressive driving, none of that human unpredictability.
And there's a really key feature in the app that helps with that trust issue, isn't there? It'll only offer you a freeway route if it's meaningfully faster.
Yeah.
And even then, you can say no. You can tell it to stick to surface streets if you're not ready.
That opt-in feature is just brilliant design. It understands that trust has to be earned. It lets the passenger decide when they're ready for that high-speed experience. It feels controlled, not forced. And looking ahead, they are clearly scaling fast. They plan to double their city coverage, including those cold weather markets. The source material even had a little joke in it, saying that robots don't mind the snow.
The partnership with Toyota feels huge, too. Putting Waymo tech into personal cars. That suggests a future beyond just ride-hailing. You could see this in your family sedan.
Absolutely. And they're diversifying the fleet with things like the Zeekr RT van. That shows they're thinking about different uses, from personal travel to maybe even logistics.
The big picture here, is that this vision for safer, faster, autonomous travel, it's not just a vague promise anymore. It feels like it's arriving ahead of schedule. So what does this all mean? The driverless revolution is accelerating, and it's moving from the sort of contained chaos of a city to the complexity of a high-speed highway. That's the leap.
It is, and it reinforces a core lesson. Waymo's decade of data and their decision to go fully driverless on freeways sets a huge precedent. They've essentially thrown down the gauntlet for the whole industry.
And for you, the listener, the fact that you can opt in or stick to the side streets, that's really the whole adoption curve in a nutshell. The tech is there, but the decision to trust it is still yours.
Which brings me to a final sort of provocative thought for you. If this technology moves beyond just ride-hailing and gets integrated into personal cars through that Toyota deal, how does that change the very definition of driving insurance? Or even owning a car? What does it mean when your sedan can drive itself to soccer practice or across state lines and you never have to take control? That's something for you to think about as this all shifts from sci-fi to just reality.